Last night, Texas rolled Sam Houston 55-0. Longhorns putting it to the Sam Houston State Bearcats. But what did we really learn? That's what we'll talk about in this episode of On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Gerry Hamilton. This episode brought to you by our friend Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. Gerry, I'm just going to put this rapid reaction video to you right away. What did we learn last night?
We learned that Arch Manning can make the easy throws, and if he does it early in the game, then confidence is real. It's contagious in an offense, and if Sam Houston State's not a good team, they may go 2-10. We'll see, 1-11. I don't know what they're going to go. They're not a good team. They're not very talented, but we talked about it all week. The throws that Arch needed to see himself make, and it didn't have to be perfect early. He just needed to see himself make those throws. And then you kind of take off and build that confidence, and the crowd built confidence around him. The offense built confidence around him. We saw that. Texas believes Grayson Littleton can play corner. We learned that. They rolled him out at corner as the backup corner to Jalen Gilbo before Cade Phillips hit the field. We learned that. We saw that leadership does matter. DeAndre Moore being back on the field, I think it matters to Texas. Again, it wasn't a good opponent. I get it, but I think those things matter to Texas. And we saw that when Sark talks about depth, they actually truly believe they have it. I think 75 players played. I mean, 90% of the true freshmen in that 2025 number one class played. They believe in a lot of those guys. And we got to see some guys for the first time, like a Jonah Williams, that I believe can help this team win games later in the season.
Gerry, let's go a little deeper on Arch Manning. 18 of 21, 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He spearheaded 7 consecutive scoring drives for the Longhorns, 6 touchdowns and a field goal. He really did a number on Sam Houston State on Saturday. You talked about those easy throws, but he made some difficult ones too. And he made them with authority. That's the Arch Manning that we were accustomed to seeing.
Yeah.
And that's one that we thought we were going to get out of the gate in 2025. We did not. Right. So where do you think that leaves us, heading into the off week and heading into Florida in a couple of weeks?
It by no means does it mean that a young quarterback will not have another bad game this season. But what it does is there's so much of this game is confidence and belief, and sports is confidence and belief, especially at the highest levels when you have a lot of pressure on you. What we said all week, it was just how bad the misses were, right? We didn't see the bad misses
at all. Yeah.
And I think that was really important. And I know he wasn't facing defensive pressure like Florida's defensive front or Oklahoma can bring on him in 3 weeks, but it doesn't matter. It's still seeing the ball go through the hoop, right? It's seeing the pitcher hit the mitt. It's making the throws you have to make. And there were no just wild bad misses where you can look back on that tape and say, ooh, that looked like last week. There was not anything. Chase Daniels said it during the telecast. There wasn't anything that looked like last night.
We talked about DeAndre Moore being a piece in the postgame of a guy that was real important to the glue of the offense. Well, he had 5 catches in the first half alone, Gerry.
Yeah.
And I think that Arch really relied on him. He went and got a really low ball. And then as the offense opened up as the night progressed, it became Ryan Wingo.
Yeah.
With the deep ball, the reverse, that was the big play guy. But DeAndre Moore I think his leadership kind of helped Arch Manning along, and also Arch Manning's legs. I mean, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns meant a lot as well. But we'll see where that goes in the off week. I want to talk also here about the defense, only giving up 113 yards. I also want to talk to you about all these young players playing as well. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. That is Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, sure you reach out to Adam and the Lowy Law Firm at loweylawfirm.com. They've been helping injured Texans for 20 plus years. They'll give you a free consultation to see if you and your loved one might be due compensation. Again, that is loweylawfirm.com. Texas Law School grad, been helping injured Texans for 20 plus years. Adam Lowy. All right, Jerry, I talked about that defense. 113 yards allowed is freaky. I mean, that's in a good way. That's an amazing total, and I don't care who you're playing. What are your thoughts as it relates to the defensive performance?
Yeah, so I thought that was a tremendous defensive performance, with the same caveat, but it doesn't matter because they still haven't really unleashed everything they have. They had 5 sacks last night, double-digit tackles for loss. Colin Simmons had a sack or first play of the game, but he didn't play a ton of snaps in this game. You saw multiple guys. Brad Spence looked like he could get home a lot in that game, right? You saw multiple guys rush the passer. You saw guys get their first career sacks last night. But I'll tell you one player that continues. Michael Taff is going to be a steady, consistent performer, game in, game out. And I think Manny Muhammad is like that as well. But Jelani McDonald may be the most improved player on this team from a year ago. I'm starting to lean there with him. He is just Bobby, does he not look like a future 10-year pro out there? I mean, he's getting to that level. I mean, I know the big competition's in front of him, and if he puts it on the board and plays well the rest of this way, he's probably going to have a decision to make whether he comes back or not. But he looks like a so much more confident, decisive player. And when you put an athlete like that, confident in what he's seeing and confident in what he's doing, and then he goes and makes plays on the ball, those guys normally make a lot of money playing this game.
It's very interesting. I'm not sure I've seen or been as confident when a deep ball goes up. That is a 50-50, Hail Mary pass.
Yeah.
It's even designed that way, and see somebody do what he did and have the confidence to do what he did. It's going to be hard for teams to throw a Hail Mary against Texas. I'll just put it that way and knock on wood. But, I think that to your point, tremendous all around play from him. I thought the defensive line played well, 26 yards rushing, 27 yards rushing on 26 carries. Texas gave no quarter there. All in all, 113 total yards is just extraordinary. Again, given the competition, we do understand that. But let's talk next, Jerry, about all these freshmen.
Yeah.
21 of 25 signees played on Saturday night. It looked to me like they emptied the bench, but tell you, Nick Brooks looks the part. We've talked about him all season. He is the biggest offensive lineman on campus. I know Trevor Goosby's really big, but Nick adds about 40 pounds to that. It's probably the same height. And then James Simon had another good game. A lot of guys played. Lance Jackson got his first sack. Smith Orogbo got his first sack. What was your takeaway from them playing so many young players on Saturday?
Perfect time to do it because Derek Cooper was there, Tyler Atkinson was there, James Johnson was there, Corey Wells, who Auburn's trying. I mean, there were a lot of key recruits there and out-of-state guys. I think it just shows you how talented this class really is. I mean, Jonah Williams plays, his playing speed showed up last night, just closing an angle on a run play, even if he didn't make the tackle. You saw his talent level. Caleb Chester made a very smart football player play for a true freshman, pulling up late where some people would have hit a guy late and got a 15-yard penalty. You see the little things that if you've studied these guys, James Simon's going to be a really good player. I think everybody agrees with that now. Dalen McCutcheon's going to be a really good player. Emory Winston, Nick Townsend had key blocks on a couple of touchdowns, right? I mean, KJ Lacey comes into the game. Yep, he's third team. I think we know that now. And by the way, that guy's just going to be a playmaker when his time comes. So you saw the depth that Lance Jackson, Justice Terry, Sharma, Charles, Smith or Rogbo coming off the edge, still with the knee brace on, hit the quarterback and looked good doing it, showed that bend and that quickness. So you saw the depth of talent in that class. And I think what else you saw, I think Lance Jackson's now getting to the point, Bobby, where if you get hit with a little bit of nicks and injury bug at that one of those,
I think
that
Lance Jackson's beyond that. I think he's
Yeah.
a regular now.
Yeah, I mean, so he's now a regular player, right? They're showing a lot of confidence in him. So I just, and James Simon, look, I mean, the blessing in disguise of Wisner and now Baxter missing time is that kind of forced James Simon onto the field. And when you get forced onto the field, if you're a young guy that's going to be a really good back, that tends to show up immediately. And that's shown up immediately.
Yeah, I felt like on Saturday night, all three running backs pushed each other.
Yeah.
And I want to say this. I think that's the first time I've seen all three of them actually push one another as opposed to one outshine another or do something. I felt like all three of them had their moments.
Yes.
Christian Clark had a really nice run late, but look, to that point, I was speaking with Rod Babers last night on the post-game show, Jerry, and one of the topics that we had is, what does Texas look like now if they get CJ Baxter healthy, if they get Trey Wisner healthy, and they should. Now they have a James Simon or a Christian Clark or a Jarrett Gibson that is a piece of the team, but a smaller piece, right? Given the other two's return, but they are now more battle tested. All of this stuff helps, I think.
Yes.
Is what we're talking about here with playing so many young players like Texas is doing right now. Nate Kibble getting more reps. Daniel Cruz,
first extended action at center. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All of those guys being a piece of it is going to matter as you go into conference play, where you're going to get more injuries than you have even thus far this year. All right, want to say thanks one more time to our friend Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. We appreciate him very much for sponsoring On Texas Football and Rapid Reactions this morning. Jerry, closing this up, okay? You look at this game last night, and we know that Sam Houston State is just not very talented.
Right.
But we wanted to see Arch Manning look confident, play with fire, have fun, get out there and get after it. And he did it. He did it running the football. He did it throwing the football. He did it leading the team. I think that was the probably number one formula for success on Saturday night. That's what we had to see, and we finally saw it. Everything else took a back seat, but we finally saw him take off a little bit.
Yeah, we did. And if there's one, in thinking about that, we saw him take off, and that confidence is so important. It goes throughout a locker room, right? We talked about at the beginning of the show. And now let's talk about this, Bobby. If there was one position that absolutely was not going to be tested last night, the way they're going to be tested the next two games, if there's one thing that you say, okay, we weren't going to learn much from that game, it's the offensive line. Because the next two tests for this offensive line, Florida's starting defensive front's really good, multiple NFL players. Oklahoma sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times yesterday. 10. I don't care if Jackson Arnold can't get past the first read very often or not. 10 sacks is a huge number against the team that's pretty talented in Auburn. The offensive line had a good game Saturday, but it was a total mismatch in talent. The next two games, I think, are going to really tell us where the offensive line is, how much they've grown, and what they're going to look like the rest of the year, because they're that one position that truly was not tested Saturday night, and they're about to face their biggest back-to-back test of the season.
Fair enough. That is one that I would agree with. All right, that's going to do it for Rapid Reactions. Big win, Texas 55-0 over Sam Houston State. Like I said, I think it's just what the doctor ordered, but you only get better if you keep working hard. That's what the Longhorns will do. Even though they have an off week ahead, they will be back at practice on Monday. For Gerry Hamilton and our producer, Matt Hutchinson, I'm Bobby Burton. Special thanks to our sponsor, Adam Lowy of the Lowy Law Firm. For Jerry, Matt, and myself, You guys have a good one. Hook 'em horns.